name is David McLeod, and I am your life mastery coach and author of the delicious little book, A Life to Die For. I'm also one of the co-authors in the best-selling series, The Wellness Universe Guide to Complete Self-Care. Welcome to Life Mastery TV, your source for inspiration, empowerment, and fulfillment. This is episode 230, and today we're going to be talking, our topic title is Devil versus Angel. And I guess I'd like to start with a question. Have you ever struggled with limiting beliefs? Have you ever found yourself uh, with the shoulds and the shouldn'ts going on in your head? Maybe you sometimes hear those voices in your head that keep you from showing up fully. Or maybe you even imagine the devil overpowering the angel, thereby getting the better of you. Well, in this episode of Life Mastery TV, we're going to embark on a profound exploration of the inner battle between the devil and the angel within. This symbolic struggle represents the choices we make in life, with autopilot living sometimes relegating us to the passenger seat, leaving our dreams unfulfilled. The devil's voice, steeped in negativity, keeps us trapped in victimhood, leading to a lack of boundaries and a tendency to say yes when we really mean no. Well, for this episode, I've invited back my friend and colleague, Manuela Rohr, a body-mind healer and devoted expert on unconditional happiness, to share some of her wisdom with us. After dealing with her own demons and, as she puts it, staring down the devil, Manuela has been able to establish a deep and powerful connection to her natural joy. And she's going to share some of the techniques and tools she's learned. So please welcome back the delightful Manuela Rohr to our show today. You can come on camera now, Manuela.
I am coming. Here I am. Hello.
And
Here
there you are. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, we were having a little bit of a welcome back kind of session before we turned on the recording, and it's like I want to say out loud here, Manuel, it's just so great to see you again. It's been way too long. We have
Yes.
been, we met each other, I think, first at one of the Soul Treat events from the Wellness Universe.
Yes.
And we seem to hit it off right away, and we've had a lot of things going on. I also would
Yes.
like to welcome our guests who are in the audience right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here on the live presentation. And of course, if you have questions or comments, feel free to just post them in the chat, and we'll do our best to address those as we go. So, Manuela, now I know
Yes.
that there's been a lot going on in your life.
Yes.
And that's perhaps why you and I have not connected for such a long time. Would you like to share a little bit about what's been going on and how you have gotten to this place of staring down the devil and finding your joy again?
Absolutely. That's really my mission and my biggest wish in my life, that I can share how I did it and how I discovered how to do it. So I really enjoy my life despite all the stuff that's happening and is not so easy. That everybody else who has a similar situation or feels themselves as a caretaker somewhere trapped, not able to live their life. No, there are tools. There are definitely helpers that help us to stay on the positive lane of our life.
Right.
And the theme is, well, yeah, not everybody knows that, but I'm a special needs mom since 33 years. So my daughter was born a micro preemie, and overnight she was born 4 months too soon, a sick
Mm-hmm.
baby in the hospital for 6 months and very ill for many years. Still not able to live alone now, being 33 years old. So I have been going with my family through so many ups and downs that a book would be putting people into tears, because a special needs life is extremely challenging, extremely making you feel helpless,
Mm-hmm.
extremely feeling you like the negative voice on the shoulder always gets the better of you, because just when you think you have made a tiny step forward and your baby is a little stronger, something happens again and they get sick again, or later schools are denied to them opportunities they want to have. My daughter is on the autism spectrum, highly intelligent, but not able to live alone, but she gets it. she has dreams like we have, and she wants
Sure.
to be in life and not somewhere put away in an institution where she doesn't belong. So the setbacks started from health issues that were extreme to educational issues that were absolutely painful because she was denied so much.
Mhm.
And to now, finally, after, I would say, I searched since she was 19 intensely for a place for her to move on. Typical, like kids are moving on sooner or later. Maybe they are
Sure.
25, maybe they are 18 when they go to college or whatever they do, but
Mm.
eventually they leave the nest.
Right.
And I felt trapped in a never empty nest
Got it.
for 32 years
Yeah. Yeah.
and had to deal with, well, I had to deal, but I was fortunate that I had a background in body mind healing and in being a yoga therapist and a yoga teacher, and having done a lot of studies in body mind healing before she was born. That was my passion all along. But I couldn't work the way I wanted to because now I had a sick baby in my life and couldn't really live my life the way I ever thought I could live it at that time.
Hmm.
But the tools I had somehow, accumulated, they were there, and I knew how to use them, so I'm not falling apart, and so I'm not breaking. And now, finally, like since a year, I am living the life that I wanted to live before when I wanted to have 4 children, see them grow, see them move on, see them ideally have their first own love, their jobs, their own children, grandchildren for me. That all, of course, is not happening for me. But I always said one day will come where it's not 90% caretaking and 10% little time for myself, but the other way around. Now it's that way. While
Hmm.
the heartache never goes away and the challenges stay because we are our daughter's lifeline for the rest of our life. We are the ones. But I have this time now to share what's so dear to my heart, like things like how to stare the devil down, because we all have it, right? We all
Mm.
have these, we have phases in our life that are testing, sometimes really, really hardly on us. And then we have phases where it's a little easier. But the thing is, we know, most of us in the healing field know that we have so many thoughts in our head all day long, I think 60,000. And however many of them, 90% are unconscious. We are thinking them because we have learned to think in a certain way. Negative voices from our childhood, from parents saying this is not good enough, or grandparents saying anything. As a child, it becomes us that we are not as great as they want us to be. So it's often a negative voice that says, come on, it was for me like that.
Hmm.
Gi- Give up finally. Let it be. You are crazy. This is too much. Just live it the way it is and forget about what you ever wanted to have. Devil voice. And 10 years
Right.
ago,
Right.
I started to call it the devil voice. 10 years ago, in a way of feeling, I wrote a blog post at the time about this situation, and that I felt like my left shoulder in my life was always the painful one, the like, sitting like this devil voice in there saying, stop it, you can't, it's too much, you are crazy, you are a dreamer, you have all these visions, and look at you, here you are sitting still a caretaker, while my right shoulder was holding that so tiny angel on my shoulder saying, Manuela, you came so far, go for it, go for it, go for it. But I wanted this voice to be my voice and not this one.
Right. Right. That's quite the amazing story, Manuela. And I've known a little bit about your history from previous conversations.
Yeah.
And one thing that comes to my mind is people who are in your kind of situation, where they have a special needs child or some other situation has come up in their lives where they feel trapped. They feel as if I have no choice, but I have to do this because to do otherwise makes me selfish, makes
Yes.
me uh, narcissistic. It
Mhm.
means that I don't care. And so people from the outside who watch this may may not really understand the depth of that kind of story that might be going on in your mind. Uh, I mean, all of us, I think, are conditioned on some level to behave according to some standard that is applied to everyone equally. We're
Yeah.
all supposed to, you know, uh, do these things, get a job, go to school, go to university, get a degree, get married, have a family. All these things we're supposed to do in order to achieve a certain level of success.
Yeah.
And so anybody who deviates from that is we try to corral those people back into that way of being because we don't want to be the ones left alone in that situation, you
Yeah.
know so
Yeah.
when we see someone who is succeeding and doing well, maybe a part of us is really excited and motivated and inspired by that, but another part of us, and that would be the devil voice, I think, saying, oh, look at that person trying to be so good, Mrs. Goody Two Shoes, whatever story we make up about, we judge them. And it's just really, really amazing to me how all of this happens, and most of us aren't even aware of those thoughts going on in our head. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, well,
Absolutely.
33 years, that's a long time to be on a particular part of your path. But I think one thing that, as I listen to you speak, I'm hearing you talk about how you wanted to bring healing into the world, how you wanted to have embodied awareness, help people to learn that. And I believe, even though it took 33 years, a big part of that time was you learning your trade,
Yes.
discovering how much you really wanted to do this, not just for your daughter, but for other people as well. Am I right about that, or is that just my story?
No, that's not, that's absolutely my inner voice speaking to you through you. Well,
Uh,
I knew that I almost want to say, if I can master, you can, in any circumstance. If you are willing to open your blind spots and your victimhood story, I know exactly how that feels, and I have the my heart goes out to everybody who feels like that in a situation that is crucially painful. Yet, what does it help? It helps nobody.
mhm,
And I just knew, if I want to give my daughter a chance to know what happiness is, true inner happiness, I need to show her with my life, and not, she won't get it anywhere else. She needs to have it from me. And that was also something that I had vowed as a younger woman, when I thought I have 4 children one day, and all of that illusion that didn't happen then. I wanted to know what unconditional happiness is from a very early time,
mhm.
because there was all that stuff going on where I didn't want to be the way I was raised and live where they thought I should live, and blah, blah, all of that. I just wanted to be whole inside and love myself. I had not the words for that back then, but I know today what it is, that it means we really need to love ourselves even more when we are challenged,
Right.
and not less.
Y-
So that my daughter, I have often said that. I have several teachers in my life, fantastic people in my life that helped me gain this amount of wisdom and knowledge about how I can heal myself and share with others. But
mhm.
really, my number one teacher is my daughter.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think you said something that I think is very, very important. You said when you were younger, you really wanted to know the true meaning of unconditional happiness.
Yeah.
And as soon as you said that, I felt this really powerful energy come into me, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's kind of like my journey. I don't
Mhm.
think I articulated it the same way. I don't think I said out loud, I want to know what unconditional happiness is. I want to experience it. But I know that there was a part of me that that wanted to be able to experience the fullness of knowing who I really am. And the way my journey started was by denying who I am at the very beginning and
Mhm.
going through that whole journey of trying to live up to other people's expectations and discovering by doing that, I was actually hiding my true self.
Yeah,
And it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I finally realized this is not working. I have to shift. And you see, that was just an amazing wake up. So I had my wake up in one way, and you've had your wake up in a slightly different way. But ultimately, I think we both had the same kind of journey where we in order to experience what we ultimately wanted, we first had to experience maybe the opposite of what we wanted.
absolutely. Cannot be
Yeah,
more true for me because I totally know I would have probably been a really good yoga teacher and wellness coach, whatever I am now, I'd also be, but I would not have this. The challenge made me dig deeper. The challenge didn't let me sleep, so to say. It didn't let me be, oh, I'm okay. It
right.
didn't. The challenge made me be alert, and that's why my theme around awareness is so important, that it made me aware when I was not being fully present to my life with everything in it, because I wanted to hide and I didn't want it. I wanted it different. I wanted, you said trapped earlier. I always said I feel like I have chains around my ankles, really
Right.
chains, holding me in a place that I couldn't escape. Pretty much like, and that's why I'm not only teaching people or have people in my circles who are having my fate, but everybody who has, like you just shared that too, that you were looking for, how can I be the that best version of myself? How does it actually look like? And so many people sooner or later become caretakers in their life, or suddenly are in that position and have no tools to do it. Didn't know how to be with. There are no books on how to raise a special needs child that is so
Right.
sick,
Hmm.
but it made me basically dig deep and have the pain and crush on the floor and fall down 7 times, they say, I think, and get up 8, many, many more, where I just had I had that will inside of me, that deep inner core longing for making it. Accepting that this, not accepting that my daughter has all the difficulties she has, that's still very hard, but understanding that this is my path and my daughter is in my life for me not to break or give up, but to really shine my light despite it, or even brighter because of it. That's
Yeah.
what this does to us when we have these incredible painful challenges in our life.
Yeah,
Then
that's
we,
beautiful. Hmm. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, many of the challenges that appear in my life, I I maybe I don't like them all that much when they happen, but it's
Yeah,
never been the case that I have not been able to, or it's never been the case that I've looked back on something and not been able to see the gift in whatever showed up at that time.
yeah,
I may not have been able to perceive or experience the gift when it was happening, but certainly, after a period of time. And what my goal now is to shorten that distance in time so that I can appreciate the gift as it's happening,
yes,
even if it's an unpleasant situation. And because I still have an ego mind, as I think most humans do, I still have difficulty with that because my ego mind says, I don't like this. I want to
mhm,
get out of this.
mhm,
You gotta take care of yourself. That's what my ego mind is saying to me. And my soul already knows that no matter what happens, I am perfectly safe.
yes,
You know,
yes.
I
And that
just
is
noticed that
beautiful how you
Lorraine
just
wrote
said that. That's a
Lorraine just wrote
beautiful.
a comment. She said, love that unconditional happiness, happy
Yes. Hi,
without
Lorraine.
reason.
I see it now. Here's Lorraine. Hello. Beautiful to have you here. Happiness is, I learned that way back before I had any idea. what would happen. I was a fan, and I'm still a big fan of Hermann Hesse, Siddhartha, the books. We grew up with it. We had to study it in school, German. I'm from Germany. I'm in Germany right now, actually. And he, in that book, my heart still feels like I just read it, that happiness is an inside job, is an easy way to say it, but it's not conditioned by anything outside of myself.
Exactly right.
Because where would I be? Where would I be if
Right.
you are sitting by an incubator, just my example, 6 months, praying this baby would survive somehow, but how? If that would have to make me happy, that would have not happened. It had to come from inside. It had to be that inside job of really learning and understanding what does it take for each one of us to live with our past, to honor what's on our past is a beautiful thing I like to say. And in the course I teach, to honor our path means I accept what has been delivered to me, what destiny delivered, and I'm not helpless and I'm not broken. I might have not that one dream that I had. Definitely, I felt broken for a while, but I can create a new dream. And in that process, too, is a huge learning about what do I let go? What do I listen to? How do I, and you said it beautifully in the beginning, what does that mean to not be constantly pulled into the negative part of a situation? Say, oh God, not again. I don't want to have that. No, my ego says, I have enough. That's enough. That's unfair. I can't. But then, what does that do? If I stay in that, if I'm trapped in this, I am forever not shining my light. I'm forever trapped. And if I have enough inside of me to say, no, 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 it's on my path to teach me something. Definitely teach me to understand my life better and do what it takes to bring this light out. And I
Right.
love that I know that. And I love now to say, at my time now and the age I'm now, to finally have an idea, a better idea to live it, not just know it up here and write books about it and teach it, but embody it in my own life. That's why I like that story about the devil on my shoulder. It's still wanting to win. Constantly, it whispers something in my ear, and I'm always it's like when I ask you now to lift your left shoulder, and this is the devil sitting there, and you have to hold it for a while you are saying, no, no, I have no devil, no, no, I'm all good. But there is so much cramping in my shoulder and so much pain in my shoulder. My body, nervous system, our nervous system cannot believe us when I'm like this, and I say I'm fine. When you fake it that you're fine, but you're holding so much tension in your body because the negative voice back there says you're not fine. Come on.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's counterproductive. I have learned that later on, that this is counterproductive in how the universe is wanting to help us. If I say with one place, help me, I can't handle it anymore. Well, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah. Right.
What's supposed to happen, right? What I have learned that later, and I think I learned it because I had to. Didn't know that 25 years ago, that I
Yeah.
need to be, and I want that so much, that we are on our path and we are never done with it. And that's beautiful because we have so many years and so much time that is given to us to polish and shine, bring out the shiny pieces, like Michelangelo, how long it took him to get his figure out of one rock, what he all did to it to bring it into what it could be. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
And I have no time is of my vocabulary unless I teach about it. I am, even as someone in crisis, you get through the first stretch, that where nothing can happen other than you staying alive. But then I can't has only negative power over us, and it's a devil's voice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said about happiness being an inside job. I think that's absolutely true. I think that when here's what I have experienced myself. I have an ego mind. I don't call it the devil, I just call it my ego mind. And
Fine.
it has its purpose in life, which is to keep me safe, according to its idea of what safety is. And I used to try, as part of my growth process, I used to try to fight my ego. Say, go away, leave me alone. I don't want to hear what you have to say. And all that did was make my ego mind speak louder
Yeah.
and louder and
Yeah.
louder until I finally started, okay, I'm just going to sit down and hear what you have to say. The moment I did that, the
Yeah.
moment I started paying attention, even though I wasn't attached to any of what my ego mind was saying, it was like I was dealing with a little child who just wanted to be heard. And the more I did that, the more I practiced that, and I continue to practice that, the closer I get to the happiness that's already inside me. This
Yes.
is what I'm getting at. It's like the ego
Beautiful.
mind keeps me from my happiness. It puts up all these little red flags and warnings and danger signs and puts me in fear. And that fear is what separates me from my happiness. But
Absolutely.
when I can calm my ego mind, when I can do whatever I need to do, and in my case, that might involve meditation or contemplation or some other form of exercise. And I know you do your embodied mindfulness, your yoga practice and stuff. Each of us has our own way of quieting that voice in whatever manifestation it appears to have. And as we do that, all of a sudden, the happiness rises up to meet us. The
Yes.
happiness, the joy, the soul, the spirit that's really driving us. That is what comes up in its place. And so really this inside job that you're talking about is really about going inside, allowing the external world to quiet down and all the ego mind and devil and everything else that's associated with it, just to let it quiet down, and suddenly now you're into that beautiful, meditative, quiet, loving, unconditionally happy space where everything is perfect.
I we are good partners here. We have similar ways of expressing that. And I was just waiting for you to finish when you said it, the word that I wanted to also add to the conversation, that I have maybe discovered more clearly the last couple of years about the ego mind, wanting to win, possessing things and having it my way, and screaming for help, but being like this, while the happiness is soul level.
That's
You,
right.
you said it. Happiness for me is soul level. We need to understand. I have a lot of practices that have to do with soul, soul dangling time, like really having at least one weekend hour or a few is better, where you know what it means to really be present and let it all be, no matter what it is. Or finding your soul word is one of the practices that I guide people through, to feel, what do I want the next 30 days, for an example, what is the word? Maybe it's inner peace, maybe it's harmony, different words that we can use as a tool to wake up with and go to bed with. And in our day, we weave the awareness into it. What was my word? Because then it's not like autopilot. It's not
Hmm.
like, oh, the whole day is gone. I'm exhausted. Now, should I do something now? No. Now I'm too tired, because we lost so much energy in the doing, and not being present, always
Hmm.
charging ahead, or hanging in our mind in miserable experiences we are worrying about, or we are running our tape in the head. And then we are too tired, too exhausted to do anything, or we don't know what to do. And where is the soul level? I think it's crying inside. I really think it says,
Mm.
hey, please do something, so I can be whole again, and I can be happy from the inside out. So
Yeah.
you, for me, that's my biggest mission I have for my own life, and for everybody who wants to hop on and have that life too, is to let that ego mind be what it is, exactly how you said it. Of course, it's there, and we need that too. The one cannot exist without the other.
Well,
Anything
not in
cannot.
the physical world anyway.
Not in the physical world, yes, not in the
Yeah.
physical world. And but if we can empower our everyday life with practices that speak to you. You choose what works for you. I choose what works for me. I have a huge variety of different tools for different people. And then commit to grow that new habit. Today is the day, not in 5 days. It's today is the day I start a new habit and I give it my all.
Hmm.
And if I give it my all, I can trust 100% we will nail it. We
Right.
will nail it and more enlightened and not enlightened in the Buddha way, which is also good, but more we feel lighter and shine more of our light when
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are in
Well,
that
and
place.
that's a perfectly valid way of describing enlightenment, I think. Um, because the more we connect with our soul, the more we become attuned to our whole true nature, and therefore to all other sentient and loving and conscious beings on the planet. We have that capability within us, and our soul is constantly talking to us. It's constantly saying, I love you, I'm here, when you're ready I will be as big as you want me to be. And that's the way the soul operates, in my view. It gives us the opportunity to go through the difficult times in our lives, and but it's constantly reminding us, I love you and I'm here. I love you and I'm here. All you got to
Exactly.
do is just quiet things down and come and listen to me.
Yes.
That's all you got to do.
All you got to do is like what most spiritual teachers ever have said: pause,
That's right.
pause, stop on the spot. I put timers up, then I work on my desk. Timers every hour. 45 minutes actually is better because if by an hour I get tired. But 45 minutes, ding, ding, ding. All right, here we go. Tiny Island time. Tiny Island are my practices. Stop now, drop the pen, drop everything, and notice yourself sitting. Notice what's happening and be quiet. And there is so much inspiration coming through us, so many voices, like you just said. The soul is speaking to us, saying, oh, finally, thank you. Now she's listening. Now
Yeah,
she's connected to all of our places and is more relaxed to receive healing powers that we have in our body. But if we are not relaxing and if we are constantly adding more things to do, more lists to cross, more things to learn, and we are basically doing it to the level of feeling tired and exhausted, it's breaking us down the road, I think. It
right.
puts us up no matter what's in our life. It might be actually really, I have had people, I know people, and I'm sure you know too, who didn't have any of these crucial heartbreaking challenges, basically have it all and confide in sessions, in conversations. I feel so guilty. I feel almost depressed because I should have no reason to, when they compare it to someone who has reasons. And I feel so tired and so unthankful, ungrateful that I really don't like myself. Because
Right.
why am I like this? Because you don't give yourself a moment to breathe and connect to your soul and understand this amazing thing that happened when we stop and put our hand, for example, on our body. The heart is beating in there. It's not there. It's there. And if we even close our eyes, it's like, wow, I'm alive. I celebrate that every day. I'm alive. Thank you. And my breath. I feel my breath. Thank you. And sometimes that might be a 30-second thing. It's definitely a morning practice for me. And then you are in such a beautiful place, empowered. You know you can handle your life. You have stopped saying I can't because you have learned to
Right.
say I can. And really, people like me, my mission now is to say and teach around, to say I can in the face of screaming I can't inside because it's difficult. This is when it happens. When you can step up and say I can, because I know I can. This
Hmm.
screaming inner voice, let's say it's the devil or whatever ever we call it, can win so much power over us that it's like, oh, I can't. I can't handle it anymore. It's too much. I can't. While I
Well, you
think
know,
it has.
I've always thought whenever I hear the word I can't or the phrase I can't, two thoughts come to my mind. Well, when you say I can't, I'm hearing either I don't want to or I don't know how.
Mhm.
Which is it? If you don't want to, okay, I understand that. You don't want to, fine. Let's choose something else that you can do. But if you don't know how, and that's the only thing stopping you from doing something, what can you do to gain the know how so that you can? And this is
It's
something I've done for a lot of time, but I also understand that the energy of I can't is I've had enough. The energy of I can't is I don't want any more of this. Stop it. You know, trying to put up a boundary of some kind. And the way I respond to people about that one is I say, well, here you are, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, however old you are. Think about your life and the path you have followed. I'll bet there were times when you came up against some kind of challenge where you just simply said, I can't. And yet somehow you got here. So what happened then? You know, you found a way over, around, through, or under that obstacle. You found a way to get here. And
yes.
guess what? You have done that every single time in your life. This is one thing where you can claim 100% success rate.
True.
And that's what
True.
I tell people. And they look at it and say, yeah, you know, you're right. So now you're faced with a different challenge and you're thinking, I can't. So what's the real truth here?
I so agree with you. And that's what I call hiding.
Yeah.
Hiding in a place of disempowerment, or it's victim mode. It's I
It,
can't.
yeah, right.
It puts us in the space of, while I really I would speak to nobody about that. We cannot say I can't. We can scream it out loud. I can't anymore, and then drop it, and then have it off our have it. It's not only off our chest, it's off our heart, because if it's so screamingly difficult, we have all right to scream I can't, but we have no right to give up. I feel so strongly everybody who's interested can do the next step when they have fallen down. And I mean
That's
that
right.
really in a really deep way, not in a quote way that's on Pinterest somewhere, but in a really deep way, to also there comes a level of trusting that we are not doing this alone. We are meant to rise and we are meant to master the challenge. And I also think we are called as human beings on a conscious level, knowing that this life is meant for me to not only shine for myself, but to help others. Just by being the way I am, I can help someone on the street by saying, hello, good morning, how are you, in a meaningful way. Not Germans don't do that so much. That's why I say it. Americans are better about that, but Germans kind of are a little grumpy with each other. And yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I see a lot of older people. I go a lot to parks because I tape a lot of my work. I make little videos, and I see older people there who have no iPhone or something. They never had one. That's still happening in Germany, but they are bitter. They are like, who's she? And then once I give it a little space and I can say, hello, how is your day so far? I mean, I'm not phrasing something, and they say, okay, and they look. They wake a little bit up and they look and they. I had a beautiful conversation with an older gentleman in the park who I know went home feeling better because I went home feeling better. He saw me with my phone and taking videos with my you know, the thing where the, what is it called? Where the iPhone is
Tripod?
on. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
And he said to me, can I ask you something in German? I wish I could have taped that. Is that a selfie? Are you taking a selfie? He never had known what a selfie is. Imagine there are still people who don't know what a selfie is. How beautiful is this? And
Yep.
I thought, wow, he asked me something. Now I can help him. I showed him what I did, and he was like, he felt he can trust me, that I'm not a weirdo or anyone, whatever I am. And my feeling was, here was now someone lonely. I'm sure he was in his 80s, doing his afternoon walk in the park, going home saying, that was a really beautiful experience. One every day like this, how would we all feel if we can manage to get out of our small little world? I was busy. I hadn't planned to have a conversation with an older gentleman, because we never planned that, right? But it
Right.
was presented to me. Actually, I always say now, these things, they are presented to us, just like difficult things. But the
That's right.
beautiful things are also shown to us. If I can pause and say, okay, I have not much time right now, which I don't want to say either anymore. But here is that man now who wants to know what a selfie is. How can I not? I mean, how can we not help each other that way and go home and feel really happier with
Yeah.
everything in it? This is my thing. No matter what we have, because I hear that so often, and I have said it. I when I was vulnerable and broken, more on the broken side in the early years of my life with a special need child, where I said, well, that's all cool what you are saying. You don't have a special needs child at home,
Mm.
because that was also the truth, but it was also putting me in that place of, I'm worse off than everybody else.
Right. You were creating your own victimhood that way.
I was
Hmm.
creating my own victimhood.
Yep.
Thanks God. Thanks God. I am always saying thank you that I noticed it, that I
Well,
had
of
the
course.
tool already.
Yep. And you know, that's what I've been saying about our journey. We're not going to notice it until we notice it.
Yes, yes,
It's this is part of what our life is all about. We go through life, we live a lot of our lives in autopilot. We're like sleepwalkers walking down the street, just
yes.
doing one thing after another because that's what we've been taught to do. And we'll keep doing that until we stop doing it. It's really that simple. And what's going to stop me from doing it? Who knows? In my case, it was a pretty severe wake up call.
Yeah,
You know, for other people, it might be something really small. It might be just one day you hear a song on the radio, and all of a sudden, the words of that song reach you at a deep level. And you say, oh, why didn't I see that before? And the moment you say that, the moment you have that experience, why didn't I see that before? Then you begin to notice other things and you say, huh, I didn't notice that either. You see, it's a magical thing, and we
yes.
all go through it. It's a beautiful, beautiful, wonderful thing that we all have the opportunity to wake up and elevate our consciousness and rise to our full potential. All of us have that opportunity. And the more we do that, by the way, the more we wake up and take our truth by the horns and just follow it wherever it goes, the
Yeah.
happier we get because we're getting closer and closer and closer to the truth of who we really are.
Absolutely beautiful how you just said that, and how I absolutely believe that we can't, once we have learned to be live a life with awareness at its core. That's a practice. It is possible. Many people have learned it. Once we have it, we have to really get the hammer out to get rid of it, or we have to
I
numb
like
it.
that. Get the hammer out, baby.
Get the hammer
And I
out.
also like, oh, there's another phrase that you use that I also like. You talked about soul dangling, I think it
Yeah,
was. And I
yeah.
thought, oh, what a great image. I love it.
Oh,
You have
good, good.
got the metaphors worked out, haven't you?
Oh well, I'm happy you like it, because I have a lot of practices that are soul dangling, and I it's a German word.
Yeah.
It's German. It's literally saying die Seele baumeln lassen. Your soul dangles in the wind, like on a swing. And I tried to Google that, and I tried many people. Maybe if you would have been in my circle, I would have asked you too. And I said, how do you say that in English? And it was boring. It
I
was like,
don't. I love it. Don't why change.
no, no, now it's
Soul
now it's
dangling is perfect.
Saturday and Sunday for me and the people who want to be on my ship. It's a must have 1 hour soul dangle time, but it's not have anything to do with any to do things. Not even it's soul dangling time. It's imagine like a swing. It just swings because the wind goes like this. It is for me. I think it saved my life in many ways that I committed and that I knew I needed to give my soul breathing room so she can make me happy or he. If I don't know, soul I think has no she, no he. It doesn't matter. But I knew with the constant stress level and other things. I mean, if you are a special needs mom, that's not all that happens. All kinds of other things happen, like to everybody else in life. And if that is ruling my life and my mind's voice, it's we are doomed to not be happy. We are
Yeah.
actually we can fake it for a little bit. Many I have encountered many people, and I know how that feels. I've done it. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes we need to just create that smile so our brain thinks she's happy because brain doesn't know. You know, the muscles, I'm sure you know the muscles in our when I do this, my brain thinks she's happy and sends me hormones that are making me feel better. But that's not in the long run the right thing. In the long run, the right way is to really let that inner happiness
Exactly.
have it root. I feel it like a tree, you know. I feel that
Yeah.
roots meet through my feet to the earth. And because I'm nourished from below, I'm also reaching to the above and I'm nourished from above. These are all these tiny
Right.
practices, mindset practices that that really make a difference, a huge difference. I want to say they transform our life. This practice transforms us from being in an unknown space of why does it happen to me again? Not again. Of course, that still happens, but like you said it earlier beautifully too, that the time till I catch it is short. When it happens, when that devil lands here again, and it's like, oh, shit, sorry, not a good word, but again, come on, are you nuts? Oh, wait a second. It's not coming to me to make me nuts and be saying things that are not to my best feelings.
Right. Right.
And switch right away, say, go away, come on. And really the devil's voice or that negative voice has shrunk tremendously from having a power over me because I notice it so quickly. I can say hello. I gave it a name. For a few years I gave that voice a name. And because it was associated to that person in many ways, but I dropped that now. Don't she's gone. And I now can just say, For me, it I have embodied it in my left shoulder. It's like, hello. Send a deep breath into my left shoulder, make a few circles, you know, or whatever I like to do to say, I hear you. This is not what
Yes.
I want to do.
Exactly. That's right.
It's not, I don't choose this. I choose the other side. It's just my
Right.
way of saying it. I can choose. I think that's also a very important part of our conversation, of any conversation about how do I want to live my life, that it's something we choose.
Exactly. Yeah.
We choose it in the face of challenges and we choose it in any things that we do. Let's say earlier I said like get the hammer out, but we numb ourselves with food, with TV, with drinks, with all kinds of things that cover up how we don't want to feel, but here we are doing exactly that makes us feel
Right.
even less. But
Well,
instead,
and I wanted to say, kind of going back to your idea of, pretending to be happy, with the smile and getting the endorphins, and it in the long run, it doesn't really work because
no,
all we're doing, see, there's a difference between true joy or happiness and pleasure. And pleasure is what we tend to seek. because it's the pleasure. We want to get pleasure and avoid pain. That's
Yes.
kind of the mental approach to it. And so,
Yeah.
like you're saying, we kind of cover up by drinking, taking drugs, getting involved in sex or anything like that because there's a certain amount of pleasure associated with that. And that we associate that pleasure with this is who I am, this is what I am, and we're completely missing the point. The other thing
Absolutely.
I've noticed in my life is when I really feel truly happy and blissful, I don't necessarily have a big smile on my face. I feel it through my body, you
Hmm.
know? It seems to
Hmm.
come from my heart like
Yeah,
a warm blue golden sun, if you like, that just slowly starts to illuminate and blossom, and it spreads its waves of energy through my body. And it does not compare to anything in the physical world in terms of pleasure,
I understand.
and I wish I could get there all the time, but I haven't yet learned the proper technique for getting there when on a moment's notice when I want to. It takes me time,
Hmm.
it's taking me less time now than it used to take before, but it still takes time. Anyway, this I am so fascinated and excited by this conversation. One thing I want to make sure we get to before I close out, you've talked about this tiny islands exercise that you do,
Yeah.
and I really would like the viewers to be able to understand what that is and how to do it for themselves. Would you mind sharing that, please?
Absolutely. Thank you for that chance to speak about it because it's why I'm here. I mean, not because I speak about the tiny islands, but why I am this person now who has found a way to be unconditionally happy most of the time. So, what it is, the tiny islands are practices, tools. I call them soulful tools because they are the practices that we can weave into our day, like a 1 minute to 10 minute practice, depending on what your needs and your time is, to keep interrupting the autopilot of what we discussed and pause and do something that helps the body to generate the self healing powers that we have within our body, including the relaxation response of the body. Because the moment we only even sit back and take a breath, the nervous system understands, oh, she's resting. So, what the tiny islands, how they came into my life, and I keep that short because I know we are also wanting to watch the time, but I was in that place about 10 years ago where it was again a very crucial time in my daughter's life where lots of things didn't happen. Lots of things and promises were broken in her life, and it was miserable. She was now almost in her 20s and had this, Mom, you promised me I have an education, you promised me college, you promised me whatever. And I meant it, but I couldn't find the places that accepted her. And then we had one, and we moved actually across the country, across the United States, so she can go to that place. And it was beautiful. And I thought, ah, Sarina has her dream. Mama comes back, and now Mama can rest a little bit, and Manuela has her dream. And that program fell apart 2 weeks in before it started. Complicated reasons. And I was already, whenever I could, I had not much time. Even so, I said I won't say that anymore. You don't have much time, and I felt miserable hearing my mind say, "I don't have time." I said, "Stop that." But it was the truth. I said, "Ah," and so I go out on early morning hikes when my husband was home and could watch Sarina. And that was one of the days I was out there feeling so broken, thinking again, you took that chance away from my daughter. Are you crazy? Now we have nothing for her. I was crying miserably on that hike, came back to watch the sun rise, and sat down, let my tears flow down like that was the end of my life. And I thought, no, devil's voice was the end of my life. And I knew that. And I said, no, there is something, I didn't come so far to break it now. And what can I do? I looked up, what can I do? And there was literally a voice saying to me, You are already doing so many little things. You are calling it you are going on a hike. You say, I go on my tiny island. That was really the language I had used because I was missing to be on an island so much. And I dreamed of having an island just for myself for 4 weeks. Impossible in my life. So I said, okay, the voice, create more tiny islands. And this was a five in lotto, or what is the best number you can have in lotto to be a millionaire. It was like, okay, I could actually make more short practices, weave them into my day, and start having more energy to live the life I have, and on the side start creating that other part, the teacher in me. And it was basically not maybe 2 weeks. Every morning I was up early and I collected what I already had on tools and what I wanted to add. And it's practices to use your breath. It's practices to use your body in connection to it. It works with all the five senses. It's mindset practices. An example, one tiny island is that you say, today I am not getting angry, which is often impossible, right? Or I had one student who said, she felt herself rolling her eyes all the time, like even secretly, at someone in her life. And she knew it's disempowering her. It's not right. What can I do? And I gave her the tiny island because I had that too. You notice today I get up, my intention is I don't want to be rolling eyes at people because they do stuff that I don't approve, but 10 minutes into it you do it. So you pause, and you can do it if you have the space and time. You do it physically, or you just stop in your track and take 3 steps back, away from what that I just rolled them again, or just said, oh, I hate this. So you do the 3 steps back physically to embody it. And later, now, if I would say something that I don't approve of because something slipped my mouth because I was too fast speaking, I can do in my mind 3 steps back, embracing that I tell the universe, oh, that was a mistake. Now I do better. But I noticed it. My thing is, the tiny islands help us with awareness to notice the things that we do every day because we are human, we are making mistakes, and then can say, oh, wait a second, that doesn't mean I have to do it 10 more times. It only means it slipped. I lean a little bit back, relax, and start fresh. It's quite powerful. And so the tiny islands are basically, I created journeys where there are different tiny islands. I have one tiny island for every day, 365 islands, tiny islands with these different practices that I now also infused with a lot of European healing traditions. That is like really beautiful that I had that insight, like a few beginning of the year, that I grew up with healing traditions from Europe. Hildegard of Bingen, is she someone you would know? A
I don't know
woman.
that name.
She lived 1,000 years ago. She lives very close to here. Her literature is stunning. What she already knew as a nun and a healer, how she knew that she diagnosed her people by looking in their eyes and saying things like, your eyes don't shine because you act like it. Your eyes shine because you bring them to shine from the inside out, and much more. And so I infused the tiny islands with this part of my upbringing, the 30 years of living here in Germany, with this stuff I grew up with and took for granted, thinking everybody knows that. But no, not everybody knows that. So I wrote this down, and my tiny islands cover like every part of who we are, from body, mind, soul level, spirit level, and of course, body is the senses, to help each individual to say, I hop on my tiny island 5 times a day, and I mean it because I'm growing a new habit. So they are basically my signature tools that I design sometimes for the person, depending what is the need. Many women have boundary problems and need really good practice to embody their boundary, or acceptance practice, or worry chain people. The many people who run worry chains like movies and don't know, and get anxious and don't know how to jump off that train. Of course, I have more practices, but the tiny islands are always like your silver thread through your day. You
Well,
start.
I mean, that sounds really, really fantastic.
It's beautiful.
And
I
I
can say it's
and
beautiful.
I really hope that you have got a book in the works
I
about
have a
this.
book. I have a book in the work.
Yeah, yeah. That I mean, a book just called Tiny Islands, and
Yeah.
wow, it
Is
sounds
I mean,
fantastic.
when I said that, it was because I was feeling so miserable not having an island. I own that I live with words, and it was just something I said without attaching more to it. But in the moment, I felt like now it's done. Now I can't anymore. It was that voice saying, "You create more tiny islands," and my journey, the tiny island journey, was born.
That's
I
right.
love them, and I love what my people say, and you know what? I strive because of them,
Well,
because
I
I
can't
love
wait
people.
to see this book in published form. Have you
Thank you
talked to
for thank you
Laura
for
DeFranco?
pushing me to
Have you
commit.
talked to Laura DeFranco about this?
Yeah.
I'm sure she would love to publish a book like that.
Yeah. She
It's
actually was with me on board at the time. I was doing a lot of writing practices with Laura at the time. And when in one of the sessions, I said, Laura, you won't believe what happened. That was still a time where I was actually having 10-15% of Manuela time,
yeah,
which was often difficult because not many people understood that that was not, I couldn't choose differently. My daughter couldn't do it alone. And well, it was just what it was. And I said, Laura, I think I'm doing something with the tiny islands, and that was before COVID, or way back a few years. And but it took me so long to get more time to now.
right.
But now you put it in my head. I will call Laura tonight. Send an
Yeah.
email to Laura saying, Laura, my book. David said, Manuela,
Well, look
you
at
write.
here. Our time is just about up here, Manuela. It's been an absolutely fabulous conversation. I'm so glad we were able to do this. But I want to give you a chance to say one final word before I close it out. And then after I stop the recording, you and I can have a little additional conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I just looked a little bit at the chat and see that Lorraine is still here, and I wanted to thank her. Lorraine, beautiful to have you here. And listen to us. And of course, thank you, David, for giving me that opportunity to have such a lively conversation. So, what I really would like to say is that I would like to inspire everybody to take responsibility for their life and create a life rooted in peace, and inner happiness, because they have committed to learn the tools they need in their life to have this inner light shine and help others who might not have the opportunity. My daughter needs my light. People who are sick or people who are disabled, they need our light. So when we do that, we shine our light, and that means we don't let the devil win ever. It
Right.
can be there and we can have a hello, but not more. That's
Yeah,
my wish, to deeply anchor ourselves in awareness of how we live our life and choose the life that we would like to cultivate, not
yeah,
conditioned by anything we are going through.
yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Manuela. It's been just an awesome conversation, as I said, and I just really enjoyed this. It's been, some laughs and some great wisdom coming out. So thank you so much for that. And
I think
and to all of you watching, I just want to say, by facing the inner battle between the devil and the angel, by deepening awareness and by expanding your comfort zone, you can take charge of your life and embrace happiness in the face of adversity. So take the opportunity to navigate the path from victimhood to resilience, from inner turmoil to inner peace, and from heartache to happiness. By doing so, you can regain the driver's seat in your life and rewrite your story. So thank you for watching today's program. And remember, you can catch the recordings of this and all my other shows on my website at lifemasterytv.com. And before I close, I just want to remind you to practice my life mastery mantra every single day. You can fit this in with your tiny islands practice.
I'm
It goes like
listening.
this: I gratefully forgive the imperfect being I have been in the past. I gratefully accept the magnificent being I am right now. I gratefully welcome the evolved being I am becoming in each new moment. So until we
So
meet again, I'm David McLeod, your life mastery coach, wishing you love, light, and blessings on your continuing journey. I'll see you next time right here on Life Mastery TV. Bye-bye.
thank you. We are beautiful. Bye bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.